Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Emio the Smiling Man, meet Patrick and Mark, the Smiling Men. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, maybe the last 2 weeks, including the reveal of a new Famicom Detective Club game.
Woo!
And then on Thursday, we are finishing our ABCs of the NES. Mark, how's it going? Don't answer that, because what I really wanted to point out is here, you never interrupt the the table setting at the top of the show.
A new Famicom Detective Club game.
It's we'll get into it. But yeah,
that's big news. I have been watching. Started rewatching Lost.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
because it's on Netflix now.
I am watching it on Hulu, but
great.
But I think that's that makes sense.
It bubbled back up into the cultural consciousness again.
And I think because it's on Netflix.
Yes.
And I have not watched the entire series since the finale.
So where are you right now? Season 1 still?
So I'm in season 1. I'm doing kind of like an abbreviated season 1 rewatch because I've had aborted Lost rewatches. Since the finale. I remember I tried to get my husband into it a few years ago. And so we were watching season 1 together. But the problem was, something would happen and it'd be like, how does that get resolved? I'm like, do you really want me to tell you?
Well, and for so many of those, it's like, we don't have enough context for me to even tell you what the answer is.
And also, some of these from season 1, a couple of them, it doesn't really. And so,
yes.
And so we did not finish.
I think it does a better job of answering questions than its reputation suggests.
I completely agree with you. But I think Lost is the perfect example of I think whether the answers are satisfying to you or not, it's worth it because spending time with the characters is so worth it.
So fun, yes. And the show's just well made, well constructed, looks and sounds good all the time.
Absolutely.
That Giacchino score is one of the best on TV ever.
So I've been so my memory of season 1 and half of season 2 is pretty good because I've
been
seen
through
it
a couple
more
times,
recently. Yeah. And so I'm doing kind of a quick run through of season 1 where I'm watching the episodes, but sometimes I'm fast forwarding through stuff. Then I'll be oh right, that's I forgot that Kate did that, or Kate had that in her past, and so that part's been fun. But the major beats I remember. But I think once I get through halfway through season 3, I'm gonna have to watch every episode all the way through.
Halfway through season 3 is also where it really starts to sag. The beginning, kind of the first 2/3 of season 3, I feel are the show at its nadir, right? Where they're just I don't know how long we're to spin this thing.
Yeah.
And then as soon as as they're heading into the end of season 3, that's when the news story broke that they were we've negotiated for 3 more seasons after this. And things get messed up a little bit from the writer's strike looming, but whatever, they had their end date. And then the end of season 3 is all killer, no filler for 8 episodes straight. And that's one of my favorite stretches of the show, period.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I'm going to have to start.
Heck yes.
Watching every episode again, only because I remember there's a lot in those middle seasons that I don't remember the detail on. I remember really loving it, but I don't remember the specifics. So I'm excited to get to that point again.
I'm very excited for you. I've also not revisited Lost since I finished it. Originally, I was so heavy into Lost and committed a lot of brain power to it. I was in a band that wrote and performed songs about the TV show Lost. It's called Sonic Weapon Fence. It's on Spotify if you want to look it up. And so I was just way in it, and then I never have the heart to go back to it.
Sure.
Where it's one of those things where it's I already gave my heart to that thing. Can I even reasonably expect to do that again ever in my life?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe someday. You're enjoying it so far.
I am. Yeah. I was reminded. It's just a really good show.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's really good.
They also don't make them like they used to. Like this is a perfect example. like, I do think you're right. I remember the second season kind of having rougher moments as well.
Totally, yes.
Because, they're filling, like, I don't know, I think the first season has, like, 23 episodes or something absurd
and
like that.
And 2 of them are 2-hour episodes.
But they're, like, I miss when shows were
We
longer
will get to talking about Nintendo. It will happen.
I miss when shows were longer than 6 episodes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you did this advance the plot that much? No, but I got to hang out with these fun characters,
right?
For 40 minutes,
right? So then later, when they do something important, I care about it a little bit more. Like die,
yeah,
yeah. Or then when like someone like comes out of the cast to get like blown up by dynamite, like that's fun too.
Totally.
Look, if you want to support us in not talking about Lost, you can go to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you are supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you can get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries. We are just about to start our second season of NCS Arcade.
Yeah, Patrick and I are going to be playing games that we've never beaten before. I actually don't know that that'll be the case for all of NCS Arcade.
That was the premise
2.
for season 1.
But for this, it is going to be true for this first game that we're playing, voted by you, the listeners. We're going to be playing Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge, which is the first Mega Man game for Game Boy.
Yes. So if you have any, questions or thoughts about the Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge on the Game Boy,
or really the Mega Man series in general,
we're broadening it to that because it does feel like a very niche game, and so many of the Mega Man experiences are not identical, but like extremely, extremely related. So email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, and we'll be sure to use your insights, your questions on our sort of listener feedback follow-up episode. But that'll be coming out within the next week or so. And if you are following us for free, you will get those feedback episodes. And if you are supporting us at the 4-bit level, you get access to our NCS Detective Club mini-series. It's 6 episodes of us talking about the greatest detective shows on television, and is a great time. There's like a 3.5 hour long episode in there.
We talked so much about Ms. Marple. That was fun, though. That's a fun miniseries.
That is a super fun miniseries. Also, if you would like to be chatting with us in text form on the reg, you can go to our Discord. Get an invitation by emailing us. Again, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. I'll send you an invitation, then you can hang out with us. And when news like a new Famicom Detective Club game drops, you can you can get our reactions in more or less real time. One last thing that I wanted to plug, of course, is my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles source book. Issues 1 through 3 are in stores now. Issue 4 is coming out on September 4th, just a little over a month away at this point. From that whole thing being out, which I sort of can't believe. Mark, you opened the show a couple weeks ago with was this a couple weeks ago? It was 2 weeks ago, right?
I think so, yeah.
With some Nintendo jokes.
Yes, I'd written some Nintendo jokes. Kirby featured.
Yes, pretty heavily, yeah.
In them. And on Discord, we had some listeners share some other Nintendo jokes.
Yep.
I want to share them here as well. So this first one comes from J Bear, but they had their disclaimer that it's not theirs, but they just wanted to share it. So here we go.
I think in terms of like this kind of joke, no one owns them, right?
Totally. Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
We're not, J Bear, you're not being Dane Cook here. You're not stealing jokes, allegedly.
That's right. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't you change when there's a Pokemon nearby? Because they Pikachu.
That's
pretty good.
They Pikachu. Yep. Good.
Next we have one from AV. How do you get Pikachu onto a bus? You Pokemon. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
This one's near and dear to my heart from my side Ace. How come Kirby has never tried beef or pork at the taco truck? Pollo.
Because he's poor, yo? Is that what he's saying?
No, because it's like a play on words.
Because he likes the chicken.
Like
Pollo. Got it.
But Kirby's catchphrase is Pollo. And so this led me to a realization where I've actually never interrogated. I know, I guess through osmosis, that Kirby says Pollo.
Okay. Can I be vulnerable here? Until you were making the jokes, I didn't know that.
Exactly. And there's no reason why you should.
Right.
But I know this somehow.
Right.
but I had never interrogated like how I know it, because he doesn't say it in very many. There's 2 games that he says it, but where it comes, or they say it, I don't know what Kirby is. Kirby. Kirby's a Kirby.
I don't think we have to worry about pronouns and gender with Kirby.
From the anime.
Okay.
Because Kirby says things in the anime, but not like, other than like in the games, Kirby also says hi and stuff like that.
Right.
But in the anime, like, Kirby doesn't have dialogue. He's not giving like monologues.
Right.
He's not giving the like coffee is for closers speech or anything like that.
Is Kirby a type of Pokemon? have we considered this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think Kirby is its own its own
thing,
universe. Yeah. So, but Kirby does say Poyo a lot.
Okay.
Poyo in the anime, and apparently, as far as I could see online, there's 2 games that
they use
Poyo is spoken in.
Yeah.
And that is Mass Attack, Kirby's Mass Attack.
Yep.
And then Epic Yarn.
Interesting.
So, there's no reason anybody should know that information.
The thing is, I did play a lot of Epic Yarn, and I played Mass Attack.
But I'm guessing that he's not saying it all the time.
Right.
Like, it's probably like a, like, I don't know if it's like an Easter egg. Anyways, Kirby says Poyo. That's just something that they do.
I gotta know, because the Moogles in the Final Fantasy world say Kupo, right? And it is something that I've always interpreted as like a verbal tick of like a Kupo, just like a little like thing that like pops out of their mouths. But in the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, they sure do just straight up say Kupo. And so I'm trying to, is Poyo for Kirby, is that just like a tick, or is he saying a word that we don't understand?
I think he's saying a word that we don't understand.
Interesting.
You could watch a supercut on YouTube
I'm not gonna do that.
of Kirby saying Poyo.
I will not do that.
But I don't think that it's like an exclamation, as far as I can tell.
Right.
It's not like egad or something like that. It's I think it's like a word.
He's saying a word.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have the ability to understand what that word means.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, Mark, I think it's time we should get into what we've been playing. Do you want to start where we have commonality, or start with different things and then like come together at Nintendo World Championships? I've already introduced it. Let's start with Nintendo World Championships.
Yeah.
So first of all, got my Nintendo World Championships NES Edition hat.
Yes, that's right. It is hot NES Summer.
That's right.
And Nintendo contributed to that by releasing on the like My Nintendo store. If you had, what was it, 1,400?
It was 1,200.
1,200 platinum points. You could
that haven't expired.
You could redeem them for a hat. It's like a black trucker's hat with a Nintendo World Championships NES Edition patch.
Do you know what I learned?
The front.
Do you know what I learned when this hat arrived? Is I don't wear any trucker hats.
Yeah, I don't either. I think we've discussed before that like I have a weird head shape for hats, and I have found that the hats that have the plastic clasp in the back are awful. Yeah. For my head, like I have to have the other kind. I don't know what you would call them. But.
So, which is what the kind that this has. I find that if I have, like, it rests very high on my head. But I don't. I was wearing it when I showed up to your house,
and I wasn't taken aback.
You were not taken aback.
No, I thought it looked fine.
Great, thank you. So yes, I'm very into the aesthetics of the Nintendo World Championships. We both got the special edition of this thing, right? Before we get into any kind of gameplay, whatever, what a handsome package.
Oh, it's very nice.
It's got
heavy.
Yes, heavy for sure. It's got these like little note card things that are like the covers for the NES games that are featured in the game that all look like really, really nice. It's got 5 pins that are like recreations of the pins you earn in the game. And then there's the gold cart that is, pretending to be a Nintendo World Championships cart, which goes on like a little stand. I don't know. The whole thing's very handsome.
Do you, so in Japan, they had the same collector's edition, but it also comes with the Famicom controllers for Switch, like the ones that used to be
did not come with the cartridge.
Right, the ones that used to be Nintendo Switch Online subscriber exclusives.
Yes.
In Japan, they have made those Famicom Switch controllers available for everyone now, like all the time.
Oh, interesting.
And then in the US, they put them. They're still Nintendo Switch Online subscriber exclusive, but they're on sale right now for 20%. Do you think that they are trying to clear inventory ahead of?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
I honestly, I sort of think they're also feeling hot NES Summer, right? And are just like, yeah, we put a bunch of new games on the Nintendo Switch Online. Here's this other thing. There's a bunch of good applications for Nintendo NES controllers. I don't necessarily think they are clearing house, but maybe they are just trying to get burned through inventory.
What do you think about the game itself?
The game is fun, and it does feel slight, and there are some of the like tasks and like individual games or the gamelets, right? The little like micro games, effectively, that I find less fun than others. And when those show up in, so there's like basically two modes, right? There's just like the speed run where you like pick the challenge, you do it, and then there are like others where they serve up specific challenges, and either in like the elimination mode or in the like recording your things for the championship thing that happens every week. And when you are doing it in the speedrun mode and it's something that you don't really like, you can get it done and like get an A rating and move on, right? But when it comes to like those things where you're going to be competing against like other people who are almost certainly going to get S class finishes, I'm like, I don't really want to grind on getting the morph ball faster in Metroid, for example. And then like, I don't know, if there's an Excite Bike challenge, I'm just like, okay, not fun probably. And like Ditto Balloon Fight, like there's a couple of fun ones in there. But where the game, I think where it really sings is when you get like the Mario challenges, the Zelda challenges. Those are, and especially when it's like a longer one, like beat a level, beat a dungeon. All that is very like cool and fun to me. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag for me.
Yeah, I am enjoying it. I agree with you completely that it's pretty slight.
Yeah.
But what is there I am enjoying more than I thought I was going to,
Okay, yeah.
honestly. So I can't remember what it's called, but there's the ones where you're playing against like the ghosts of 7 other players or like 5 other players or something.
Yeah, that's survival.
And so there's 3 challenges. They tell you what the challenges are. It's the same for like a week.
Right. And it shuffles the order.
It shuffles the order, but one of them is like hard, one of them is expert, one of them is easy. And then, in the first round you have to be in the top 4, in the second round you have to be in the top 2, and then it's just the two of you playing against each other. And again, it's not live. It's you're playing other people's like ghost data. And I, did the silver one, which, like pretty easily, and I got first. But the gold one, I had to like work at.
Yeah, sure.
But I actually had fun, like, getting good at some of the challenges. And it was fun for me to see, like, so like one of them is from Super Mario Brothers 2, like the USA version. And you jump on like the flying carpet, you go over, you have to get the key, and the mask chases
and you're
you.
Playing this as Luigi.
And you have to like get through the door. And the first time, it took me a while, but then I saw somebody, I was still waiting for the carpet.
This recently too.
And they were already like done.
Yeah.
And so then I watched the replay to see how they did it.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's really cool. They, instead of waiting for the carpet, they jumped on a couple of the little bee guys and were like immediately there. I was like, oh, I bet I can do that. It took me, a couple of tries.
Yeah.
But then I was able to do it. And it was like, oh, that's cool that I was like able to do that. And now I have that like strategy that made me faster. And I was able to get a gold in that, or I was able to get first place in the gold cup. And when I did that, I felt so good. Like again, it is slight, and some of the challenges, like you said, are not that fun to me, but
whenever they're a little bit meatier, whenever there's it bums me out that there's like for both for Mario, for Lost Levels, and for Mario 3, they're just like, get the first mushroom, and it's like, oh god.
See, I don't hate those. Like,
that bugs for whatever reason. It's so that it's like you can complete this challenge in 3 seconds. I'm like,
yeah,
because then I don't really have fun like shaving off tenths of a second.
oh yeah,
You know what
no,
I mean?
I think that's fair. I think some of the longer ones, I don't know. I think what I want out of it is that just like short. Let me try this.
Yeah,
Let me
sure.
like get good at this. Because some of the longer ones, like you said, like play the game. Like in the Super Mario Brothers,
Yeah,
like
beat it.
one of the expert challenges, like beat it by warping to World 8.
Right.
Like you have to follow that specific path.
Right.
By using all the warp zones, and it's like, okay, like yeah, you're right. On the one hand, that is kind of interesting, but it just feels like more of it's like, oh, this is like a 10-minute time commitment for me to attempt this, rather than okay, yeah, let me just get really good
at this one tiny little thing. I thought the progression of the Donkey Kong challenges was super fun, because it's kind of like it does like a couple little things within a level, and then it's like, okay, now beat this level, and then it does that again for the second and third level, and then the final challenge is just beat the game. And I was like, heck yes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's very rewarding. And now the new set of challenges like rolled over, started this week on Monday, and the one of Donkey Kong, beat the first level of Donkey Kong is one of them, and on my first like try in it, I got S, right? Like I got the highest possible rating. I was just like, all right, here we go. Like look how good I got at the first level of Donkey Kong. Feels great.
Yeah, we've kind of talked about it, but the third mode in the game is one where there's 5 challenges that they put up, and then
and it changes every week.
And then for each individual challenge, you are submitting like a challenge score.
Yeah.
And it's not just your best, like it's not your personal best. It's
unless you go in and
earn your personal best again. And then it will show you your placement kind of like at the end.
Right. First out of everyone, and then out of everyone who was born the same year as you.
Yeah, that's right. If you turn on that option, you can see like the people who were born the same year as you. And like again, it's fun. It's neat.
Yeah.
It's not an earth-shattering release, but
no, but it is profoundly like fun, and I love the aesthetic of it, like I said before. Also snappy menus, man. Like this thing, because it's built on these like, sometimes as short as like a second and a half long challenges, it doesn't force you to spend any time in these menus.
Right.
You can fly through them, which is just so like rewarding and fun, and I'm glad that they kept the UI kind of minimal for that purpose.
I do like in the beginning, you're setting up your profile.
Yep.
And you can choose like your favorite NES game, and seemingly it has literally
they're all in
every
there.
NES game. Like I did choose the Three Stooges.
Very good.
The Three Stooges.
And I of course chose Tiny Toon Adventures Cartoon Workshop.
And it's fun that you can. There's some avatars that you can choose, and you can spend coins to unlock other avatars.
Who are you using right now?
I'm Kirby right now, but my tag is like Luigi lover.
Very good. Are you? I would have thought that you would have made a beeline to the Roy avatar from Super Mario Brothers 3.
If that wasn't available when you first.
They're in there. They're in there.
No,
right
I know
away,
they're in there, but I mean, like, I think you have to spend coins to earn them.
Yeah.
I haven't gone in and I did actually spend coins to get Wart from Super Mario Brothers 2.
He's like 500 coins or something.
But I haven't bought other ones. But yeah, like I mean, it really is like it's a nifty little package.
Totally.
I'm enjoying it for what it is. I'm enjoying it more honestly than I thought I was going to, just because I don't think of myself as like somebody who wants to grind to get the best score or something.
Right.
But when I was going for that first place in the gold tournament or whatever, like my palms were sweating, like I really wanted it, and that was not something I was expecting.
How are you playing this game?
Right now I've been playing it in handheld mode, but I really do think it benefits or would benefit from an NES, using one of the NES controllers.
Yeah, and that's almost exclusively what I use. I played a little bit with the Pro Controller, and depending on the game, it's kind of okay. But like I get in a lot of weird especially for like Donkey Kong, which is like Mario can get like kind of stuck if you're like pushing up at some point and then you don't mean to be. So yeah, I've mostly been playing with the NES controllers. This does make me feel like I need the Famicom controllers. Just because I have another option, another way to play.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sure you could import them.
You definitely can.
Yeah.
I just like, do I want to spend like $70 on Famicom controllers in a year where I have pledged to buy everything Nintendo puts out this year?
Right.
You know, it's just a lot. Should we talk about how we earned the platinum points to get the hats?
Yeah. So when I saw that the hats were available and they were 1,200 platinum points, I was like, I've got to be lousy with platinum points, right? Because
things expire though.
Yeah. And so I was far. I think far. I maybe had like 500 platinum points.
Right.
But we were talking about it in the Discord, and Virtual Boy had a great suggestion.
Thank you, Virtual Boy. This is a lifesaver. Retweet this to save a life.
Download Fire Emblem Heroes, and then
make sure it's connected to your My Nintendo account.
Yes, because for every chapter in the story modes that you complete, you get 100 platinum points, and
there are so many of these chapters because they've been putting out like new books of the game, and each book has like 10 chapters. And here's how you complete these chapters:
you auto battle,
and then you skip the the cutscenes between them, and all you gotta do is like tap maybe like 5 or 6 times, and then that chunk of the chapter will be completed. There's like 3 or 4 parts per chapter.
Yeah, something like that. Like I think like 5 parts. So I was on like work calls,
totally
just, like,
same. Yes,
just tapping the skip button, doing auto battle for each battle,
like that meme of the old people at a casino.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
Just tapping on something.
But I did it, and then as soon as I for me it took 6 chapters or something like that.
Yeah,
and then as soon as I finished, I turned it off because I'm like, these points expire, and I need this hack for the next time.
Future things. Yes.
So yeah, I never in a million years thought I was going to re-download Fire Emblem Heroes.
Me neither.
Never.
Turns out it is a great way to farm platinum points.
They got me.
Yep.
And now I got the hat.
Yes, and so we both have the hat. Mark, have you been playing anything else this week?
I mean, I've been playing Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge, but we, of course, will talk about that later. How about you?
I finished Luigi's Mansion 2 HD.
Nice.
And the end of that game is a beautiful experience. I love the final boss fight. It is
so fun.
It is so fun. And like fighting the King Boo at the end was also like a blast. I went back into like as I get deeper into the game, I just more like, okay, I don't need to like get all the gems or get all the booze or whatever.
Did you end up doing the booze? Because I remember last time we talked about it
that I was like kind of like reprioritizing them, and like sometimes but sometimes you just like don't encounter it, and you get to the end and you're like, well, okay, I don't know. But so I went back into the first mansion and got all the booze and unlocked that like other little stage.
What is it?
It's kind of just a ghost hunt. So like you walk in, it's like there's unusual ghost activity, and so you go in and it just like drops an exclamation point somewhere on the map. You go there, you fight ghosts, and then a couple more populate, and so you're just sort of like running around busting ghosts as fast as you can, which is fun. I don't like that that's something I have to earn, like the effort of like getting all the booze to unlock that. I kind of wanted it to be a bigger reward instead of just like kind of a challenge map within the levels I've already played. So I don't think I'm going to go back in and do more, but I would like to play Scarescraper with you because we have now both beaten Luigi's Mansion 2, the first Luigi's Mansion game I've ever beaten.
Yeah, same.
And I kind of don't want the party to end.
Yeah, and like we've never played Scarescraper, even
when
it was part of Luigi's Mansion 3. So yeah, we totally should. That'd be a lot of fun.
I cannot express how much I loved this game.
I know, it totally shocked me too.
Yeah,
I was so meh when it was announced, and even when it was released. I like felt like I picked it up out of just like obligation to have bought it. Yeah, it really took me by surprise.
Like maybe my Nintendo game of the year at this point.
Well, yeah, at this point.
Right, we got other candidates coming up. There's a new Famicom Detective Club game coming out.
Speaking of the multiplayer, I just want to touch on with the Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. I haven't played party mode at all.
No,
and I
me
also
neither.
think that would be fun to check out.
I
at some
agree,
point.
and we should get people together and
that would be fun.
Do as much of that as we can. And then speaking of playing games together, I played a lot of Vampire Survivors. About a week ago, I was on vacation in Virginia with some friends. There were 4 of us, and I talked on this show before about playing 2-player Vampire Survivors, which was fun and whatever. But getting the 4 of us all in there playing together, first of all, what a fireworks show. Second of all, just having 4 sets of eyes and 4 brains to be like, hey, wait a minute, does this work with this way? Vampire Survivors is a game that could be such an autopilot experience, but when you have 4 different brains all attacking it together, you the hidden systems of the game sort of reveal themselves. I had a ton of fun playing Vampire Survivors with 4 people at the same time.
That's awesome.
It's amazing to me that the game doesn't launch with multiplayer because it feels like it's so much better with 3 friends.
Man, playing games together with friends is so fun.
It's true, and it is funny that I'm like, I don't know why you would play this single player. It's more fun with 3 friends. Hey, guess what? Everything is more fun with 3 friends. All right, Mark, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week. Okay, but not actually.
No, because first we're going to talk about something that happened 10 days ago.
Yes.
10 days ago.
July 12th.
Yes. On the Nintendo Switch Online, Game Boy Advance, so for expansion pack survivors, subscribers.
Yes.
Nintendo released 3 Densetsu no Starfy games.
Yes.
Which had never been released outside of Japan before.
And Starfy you will probably recognize from weird little appearances in Smash Brothers and stuff.
And was there a Nintendo DS game that did come outside of Japan?
I don't know.
That sound I've never played a Starfy game before.
Yeah. So I played a little bit of the first one on my plane ride back from Virginia, and it mostly plays like a platformer, almost a little bit like Kirby-like in the way that the levels are open and occasionally kind of easy, but you encounter NPCs all the time, and they've got a lot to say to you. And they send you on little missions and stuff. But of course, the game is all in Japanese, so I don't know frequently what it wants me to do.
That's what I was reading when people, when this game was first released on Nintendo Switch Online, where people were like, "Oh yeah, play this with a guide that will tell you what these people are saying."
Yes, yeah.
And Starfy's a little anthropomorphic star.
Yeah,
I saw someone online describe it as games for people that think Kirby games are too hard.
That's interesting. Because it seemed easy, but in no way seemed easier than a Kirby game.
Okay, yeah, interesting.
He swims around and runs, and I don't know, he's a cute little character.
Yeah, there's in the key art, there's a picture of him at a beach, seemingly sitting on a lounge chair with a drink in his hand.
Yeah,
it's just super cute.
Pretty good.
Yep.
It's always fascinating to me when they drop untranslated Japanese exclusive, previously Japanese exclusive games on these services, because it seems like what a wonderful look into another world, right? And I could be frustrated that it's I wish they could just translate this so it's a game I could actually play. But on the other hand, what a cool thing.
What if that's how we end up getting Mother 3?
I mean, that would be a crime. I think
they're just yeah,
sure, here it is.
Yeah,
go for it. That is absolutely what's going to happen. But I pray that it's not.
And then this released yesterday, Monday, July 22nd. It's SNK versus Capcom SVC Chaos, which is new to Switch, but is not a new game, right?
It is not a new game, but it is a game that has not really been available on, it's an old arcade game, so it is, Capcom and SNK are 2 big Japanese fighting game makers. Capcom, Street Fighter, blah, blah, blah. And SNK is the King of Fighters, all of those, that's That's where we get what's his name? Why can't I think of the
Terry
Fatal
Bogard?
Fury guy? Yes, thank you. So and the Samurai Showdown games, all of that. So it's an arcade game that is made by SNK that features Capcom characters and not a Capcom game that features SNK characters. It is a cool arcade curiosity that like, you know, in a world where Capcom is releasing this like Marvel Fighters collection, something like this as like a one-off is like, when are they ever going to have like a collection to put that in? Like, it just doesn't exist. But like, bam, here it is. A game that I've never played, but will excitedly buy sometime this week and really dig in. And partially because there's nothing else coming out this week.
Yeah.
Mark, do you have any plans to check out the Starfy games at all?
I feel like I should at some point. Maybe, I don't know, is this a candidate for NCS Arcade?
It might be.
Yeah.
We have to see if we can like get some sort of like translation guide or something that would help us through. It really is like a lot of dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
But we will see. All right, Mark, let's get out of the new releases. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I'll talk about something not at all Nintendo related. Thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. We both saw Twisters this weekend.
Yes.
Not together, though. So,
no.
So we're going to talk about it here. And I think probably not like spoiling anything, right?
Although, how
does one not spoil it?
It is possible to spoil Twisters, I suppose. But, one of the virtues of the movie is it delivers what you think it's going to.
Right. There are tornadoes and people who chase them.
Yes.
Sometimes people chase them for virtuous reasons. And actually, I take it back. The setup for this movie is so strange because there are two groups of storm chasers, right? And our main character, Kathy, our main character is like.
I'm gonna look it up. I honestly can't remember.
She aligns herself with one group, the sort of more like corpo button-down team, and then eventually ends up teaming up with Glenn Powell and like his team of ragtag storm wranglers. Kate. Did I say Kate? I think I said Kate.
We were dancing around it, for sure.
around it. And it doesn't seem like either of them are chasing storms for noble ends, right?
Well, but his team is, what?
Which he?
Oh, sorry. Glenn Powell's team.
Yeah.
His name's Trevor?
I think it's Tyler.
Tyler, yeah. His team's doing it. Some of it, just like, I don't know. This is a classic trope. Do you remember, what is that Disney Channel original movie about? Oh, Brink. Where it's like, two groups of skaters. One team is like the corporate team, and the other one's just doing it for the love of skating.
Right.
And like inline skating on half pipes and stuff.
Right.
And I feel like this is the same sort of thing where it's like, everybody loves chasing storms.
Of course.
But some people are just doing it for the money, and some people are doing it for the love. And Tyler's team, sure, they're YouTube celebrities, but they're really doing it for, the love of the game.
Yeah.
And I guess
but that love is monetized, though.
It is, but
it's weird that they both have financial incentives.
But they make a point that Tyler's team gives back.
Yeah, later, like an hour into the movie, they do this.
Well, that's the whole point.
I
You're not supposed to. There's a little like we're on Kate's side, and then we realize Tyler's not so bad.
Right.
Do you know what I do think? I like Twisters a lot.
Yes,
I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
but I do think
felt old-fashioned.
Yes, in a good way.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it had a little bit of like the Jurassic Park sequel problem, where there are so many Twisters and it's always twisting.
Yeah.
That there like the danger.
Twisters 2 always twisting.
In the beginning of the movie, I felt like the danger felt very like real and visceral. But by the end, like the tornadoes don't actually seem that scary because like in the middle of the movie, there's like tornadoes all the time and people are driving through tornadoes and hooping and hollering. And so you're just like, Oh, like, like they're
That
so
is-
present
yes.
that the threat
Yes.
is taken away.
It is crazy that our main characters, while not storm chasing, run away from two separate tornadoes. Right? Like, they live in a world. Also, I gotta say, again, I like this movie. Weird that they make the totally chicken decision to never say climate change.
See, that didn't. I gotta be honest. Like that didn't bother me. I don't know that the movie would have been improved.
I mean, you're probably right, but it's also like there's like, and for some reason there are more tornadoes. We don't know why. So we we both like Twisters.
Paul Scheer shows up for some reason.
Paul Scheer shows up for 2 minutes at the end of the movie. I knew that he was in it, and the whole time I was like, when are we going to see Paul Scheer?
Okay, so I didn't know he was in it.
Okay.
But then I saw, like, while it was happening, I saw him in the background, and I'm like, he's going to be featured, right? He's not just...
And then he is.
Yeah.
Let's not give it away, though. It's a pretty funny bit. And, like, I got to say, my theater popped twice during that movie. Once, when Glenn Powell walks outside in the rain wearing a white T-shirt and a cowboy hat. You could feel it. The theater was electric. And then again when Paul Scheer shows up, that like, and it's probably because it was like I was seeing it in Burbank, and it's just like, it's probably a theater full of people that have either worked with Paul Scheer or worked with someone who worked with Paul Scheer. But everyone popped for Paul Scheer.
Oh, that's fun.
And if you are a normal human being listening to this show and you don't know who Paul Scheer is, look him up. You've seen him on stuff before. All right. We were accompanied today by the EBU Euradio Orchestra. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Okay. This is big.
Settle down.
Yeah. And this is big, admittedly, for a select like number of people.
Yeah.
This is niche news.
Yes.
But it's big for us.
It's our niche.
Yeah, that's right. So we finally have an answer to the enigmatic question. Enigmatic.
Mm-hmm. Enigmatic.
There we go.
Yeah.
Who is Emio?
Who is Emio?
So Nintendo dropped a teaser a couple of weeks ago. And
it was like kind of a scary one.
Yes.
There's like a man with a bag on his head.
Right. And so, we knew that it was rated M. Mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of questions, a lot of speculation.
Is this a Jigsaw-like figure? What is
right?
this?
Is this like a new IP from Nintendo? Are
yes.
they, are they branching out, kind of creating something different, unexpected? And the answer turned out to be like, in some ways, the most obvious answer.
Yes.
Which is that it's a new entry in the Famicom Detective Club series.
Outstanding.
And I feel like we should pause right there.
Yep.
And explain what Famicom Detective Club is.
A great point, Mark.
Because I think I think it's totally fair to have had this teaser, have been really excited, and then be disappointed that it is a Famicom Detective Club game. That is not my experience.
Neither is it mine.
But I think it's completely valid to feel that way, to be like, I wish this was not a Famicom Detective Club game.
I mean, honestly, I agree. However, the sigh of relief that I let out when I saw it, well, I mean, first of all, I exploded, but because I was so just like happy that we were getting a new Famicom Detective Club, but I was also like, oh, this is best case scenario, right? Like, I actually don't want Nintendo to do like a Silent Hill like game. I think that it's just like not what I like about them. And knowing that this character and like this concept of the smiling man who is like a sort of recurring maybe character of folklore or something that like convinces people to kill themselves or
seemingly.
So there's some like dark stuff here. But that is a perfect kind of supernatural, probably has a reasonable explanation thing to insert into a Famicom Detective Club game. But let's talk about what the series is.
Yeah, so Famicom Detective Club is a series of games that were originally on the Famicom in Japan.
Famicom Disk System, specifically.
And they're like kind of like visual novels, kind of point-and-click adventure games. The way they play is that, they're first person. You're traveling from location to location, talking to people, interacting with the scenery, to solve a mystery.
Right.
And there's like murders. There were two games previously. The Missing Heir, The Girl Who Stands Behind. They were released in the 80s on the Famicom Disk System in Japan.
Yes.
And then in 2021,
remade
and released outside of Japan for the first time. They
Yep.
were available on Nintendo Switch. It was one of those things that, like, I love detective stories. We love weird Nintendo. So the fact that they released these previously unavailable games in English, like,
with like all new graphics and like this beautiful art style that I really cannot sing the praises of the remakes enough for the way that they present Famicom Detective Club.
yes. And so we did a whole episode on both games back in the summer of 2021 that you should go check out.
You should go check it out if you want to be completely spoiled on the stories.
Yeah, that's true.
We kind of walk through it beat by beat.
But we really enjoyed our experience, with the caveat that yes, they made the graphics really nice and like the music and the presentation and everything, but it had the same gameplay from the 80s, which meant some really infuriating, unintuitive puzzles that would have been like I played the game with a guide.
Absolutely.
To understand what I was supposed to do.
Which, by the way, is my stern recommendation for playing the remakes is just have a guide open on your phone next to you, or like open on a computer screen, so that like if at any point you're like, wait, what am I supposed to? You can just look at the thing. And like there are genuinely times where it's like you will not know how to do this. And I kind of don't know how you brute force your way through some of those things.
But, the way that Nintendo, I think, is talking about this newest entry is calling it like an interactive visual novel. And that's like really what they are.
Yes.
But I really loved it. And we had speculated, kind of half jokingly many times since 2021 that, hey, like they did all this work. I mean, it's almost like the Samus Returns of it all, right?
Yes.
They did all this work. They have these engines. They, have the third party that they worked with to create these remakes. Is it possible that we could get a new Famicom Detective Club game in the future?
Well, and more importantly, they had those two games localized, right? Like to and I don't know if it's just like a part of because the games are very Japanese, right? Their setting is like late 80s Japan, and it's got that mix of sort of like modern urban and like still like Japanese countryside where things are like a little bit more like mysterious and ancient feeling, and all just kind of like presented together. Sort of straight face and without hiding its Japaneseness, which I don't think is something that Nintendo would have ever attempted in the 80s or 90s. But the fact that we are where we are now and like all that kind of stuff, just that they translated the games and like made them approachable just from a language perspective is huge. And like that, there's an apparatus in place for that. May as well make a brand new Famicom Detective Club game.
So that's what we're getting.
Yep.
Yoshio Sakamoto, who is kind of like the godfather of Metroid, but it was also like the writer, producer, kind of like writing herd on those Famicom Detective Club games, is back in that position again.
Yep.
He came up with the scenario. I don't know if he's writing the script. That part wasn't clear to me, but he's definitely like, right. Like the creative force behind this game as well. And it comes out on August 29th. So, after the June Direct, there was this August emptiness that we were like, that's kind of interesting that they don't have anything there. And it's $50.
Right.
And
which the previous games were 30 each, right? Or you could get the collection for 50?
I think it was like if you bought one, it was 40, but if you bought both, it was Oh no!
60?
If you bought one, it was like somehow you got a discount if you bought both.
Yeah, I think it's 30, 30, and 50 if you buy both.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. And honestly, like I could not be more excited. This is right up my alley. But like I said, I understand that visual novels are not up everybody's alley, and I don't think that this is necessarily a game for everybody.
100%. Although I will say, I think they are more interactive than visual novel suggests, but they are not as interactive as like a point and click adventure game, right? Like I think it's a little bit more prescriptive, or the last two were like,
right.
We know this is going to be another I don't expect it to make like any like big weird changes to gameplay. I expect it to be a lot like the 2 remakes that we got. But who knows?
Well, I definitely expect it to have not those like incredibly infuriating.
I expect that as well.
You know, like I think there will be improvements over the previous 2 games, which were like faithful remakes, like
Right.
games from the 80s, warts and all. I don't expect that to be the case here.
Right, that they will have sanded out some of those warts. Yeah, it like, and there are things that the game that both the missing heir and the girl who stands behind, where it would like suddenly become a little bit more active. Like there's a beat at the end of the missing heir where you're in like a maze area,
Right.
and there's like an overhead map, and you're like navigating where you are in this maze, and like there could be at any point something like that in this game that is even more advanced because it's not being bound by, the hardware limitations of a Famicom disk system.
But just clock this up as another entry in hot NES/Famicom Summer.
That's right.
It is interesting in the Western releases, like outside of Japan, they are making the Famicom Detective Club branding
So small.
like a footnote.
Yeah.
Like it really is like leading with Emio, the smiling man. It's also the follow-up trailer that they released like a week after the teaser is basically just Sakamoto sitting in a chair being
Talking
like
about it. Yeah.
super excited to have this game. I think the ending is going to be, we'll have people talking.
I love this. I love that he's like, I wrote an ending that's a little bit controversial. I don't know if people are going to like it, but I hope we all talk about it together.
I wonder if it means anything more. Because, like, at the end of, like, The Girl Who Stands Behind, there's still some question about, was it supernatural?
Right.
So who knows what he means by that. But I like I said, when I woke up that morning and you had tagged me in Discord saying like it's a new Famicom Detective Club game, I am so excited. I'm really happy that this series is continuing, that we're getting a new entry in it. I went ahead and bought the special edition from
from Japan? Oh
I'm
my god.
Yeah, I which it comes with like
an art book,
a soundtrack, and
a little evidence bag.
A little evidence bag with a little paper sack in it with like the smiley face on it. But to be completely honest, and this is how like in on this series I think I'm gonna buy it like digitally as well.
Yeah.
Also because I want that like sale from the US in addition. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like to be like whatever.
There's a market for this.
Exactly, whatever tally they're doing at Nintendo of America. But I am super excited. I think this is like for me the best possible outcome as to what this could be. But I am super sympathetic to people who just don't care about this series or visual novels or this sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. But it was also like something that it wasn't part of a Nintendo Direct or anything. Like they did like a little tease, but like there's not a ton of pomp and circumstance here.
Well, and I think it's honest. Like if this had been part of a Nintendo Direct, if they had just been like, "Hey, there's a new Famicom Detective Club game," I think this gave it the biggest possible.
I think so too.
Marketing pop that you could have without really disappointing people.
Yes, I agree. Also, just like what a strange year. When we've said it a billion times about 2024. What a weird year this is for Nintendo. And the things that are making it a less bad year are not making it any less strange.
Yes, it just gets weird. Like, you're starting your January game is another code. This bundling of a series that was fondly remembered by some, but generally forgotten.
Right.
And
not even really known as a series in the West because the second game wasn't released outside of Japan.
And then, you're getting this new Famicom Detective Club game.
Yes.
It's just it's a very strange year.
Well, and even I would argue the Nintendo World Championships
oh my gosh,
is a very strange artifact. And or like collection of artifacts in and of itself is not an artifact, but like it just points to so many different pieces of Nintendo's history, like the World Championships themselves, like the events, and Nintendo Power in the form of like the classified information things. And then there's like this fake tactility to like the pins that you earn. yeah, I don't know. Like Nintendo's on one right now.
Well, it's also interesting that, like even what I would say the big games of the end of the year, you have this new Zelda game
Yep.
that is a different take on Zelda that we've
Yes.
ever seen before. And to bring back Mario and Luigi's as a series,
Yeah.
not like particularly weird, but I would say unexpected, like weird in its own way.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
you're like, oh, like this series is back. And two, it's like the premier November title, like holiday title for the end of the year. It is weird.
Nintendo is feeding their freaks this year,
Yeah.
right? And you and I are those freaks.
Oh,
and
we
so
love it.
I'm so happy to be.
We're eating good.
we're eating good, even if we're eating strange. You know?
Yes. The other thing I wanted to point out, and I don't know what this means. I don't know that it tells us anything, but Emio, the smiling man, has a listed file size of 5.4 gigabytes, and in the eShop, and then the 2 case collection that had the previous Famicom games collected,
both
were 3.5 gigabytes. So is the game longer, bigger, than like
sure.
The two of those combined? Is it just because they're throwing all the languages on there this time?
Yeah,
Which,
could be.
Who knows? But I feel like I know previously you got 2 games for $50, and this time you're getting 1 for 50.
But I think it's
going
to
be a meatier experience.
Yeah, well, and like I honestly I can't even remember, but like the previous games were like 6 to 7 hours each.
Yeah, I can't remember
something
either,
like
but
that.
probably something like that.
Like not super long experiences. You don't want a super long experience from a like visual novel, right?
We also know that because in the previous 2 games, you play as like a character,
right? Mine was named Ellers, of course.
You name them, but otherwise, you don't have like there's no canonical character.
He's
name.
an amnesiac, and like they build him to be a zero character.
But there's a girl featured in both of them, but really in The Girl Who Stands Behind, which is a prequel to the first game, but came second in the series, named Aonumi. We've talked about her on the show previously. When
Ayumi, right?
Ayumi, yeah. We're like casting characters. And with Nintendo characters, she's a favorite. And they mentioned that for the first time, you'll be able to play as her
in certain portions of the game. Right. So I don't think it's like a character select sort of thing.
I don't think so either. But
I wonder if my character because like in the 2Ks collection, cool. You name the character in one, and then when you select the other one, it's like, did you play the other game? And it reads it, and like your character carries over. So I would love it if at the beginning the game just addresses me as Ellers, and it's I get to continue with that character.
It also looks like the game takes place in the 80s.
Yep.
Like there's some artwork on like the UK website that I was looking at, and they show a desk and it has a Famicom on it.
Cool.
So it makes me think that it's going to be a period piece. Also,
yeah, the first one comes out in '88, right? And is like taking place contemporaneous to then.
So.
And then the second one comes out maybe a year or two later, and is a prequel. So like, yeah, these games are a very like late '80s Japan kind of setting.
On the UK website, they also featured the owner of the detective agency.
Yeah, like
Utsugi,
yeah.
And so I wonder if he's going to feature more in it as well.
He's hilariously absentee in the other 2 games.
Yeah.
Where he'll like go away to a convention and then like come back and be like, so did you solve that? It's good. It's good stuff. I'm very excited about this.
Yes, very, very, very excited.
And apologies to anyone listening to the show who is not interested in this at all. We will be talking about it for the next
that's right.
2 months. I'm sorry.
In other news, Nintendo announced a new accessory to charge Joy-Cons called Joy-Con Charging Stand Two-Way. Releasing on October 17th for $30. There have been officially licensed third-party accessories that do this. For some reason, I thought that Nintendo had an official accessory that did this as well, but I don't think that was true.
They don't. So like the sort of difference here is the officially licensed ones are available from like Hori and Power A. And these are usually like stands that you slide the Joy-Cons into, and they charge. Some of them have the ability to charge 4 Joy-Cons at once, sometimes just 2. But that's sort of like it. There's no real there's not like any effort made towards those form factors being usable as like a Joy-Con grip to like play with them. And I think that's sort of the distinction here. There's like a stand component and a grip. And so like the grip kind of slides onto the stand or can slide off. So it's a little bit more versatile. Something that feels really weird to me about this is the like port for the charging cable, which is a USB-C, is right on the top of the thing. So there's no way to like store it that you're not going to like see a cable like cascading out from the top of it.
Yeah. In the advertising, they're showing also that it works with the NES and Famicom controllers for Switch. The question everybody is asking out of this announcement,
so we will ask it too,
is why?
Why?
Why is this happening now?
Right.
Why, after all this time, is Nintendo releasing their own official Joy-Con charger when they've been perfectly happy to just let third parties do it for the past 7 years?
And speaking as someone who, I have a handful of Joy-Cons at this point, 3 sets that are in like active use, and the NES controllers. And now that I'm like using the NES controllers a little bit more regularly because of Nintendo World Championships, I am now encountering like there's a little bit of an issue, right? Like all I have to charge these things on are the rails of the Switch, and like I could use a solution. They're presenting one here,
right? The
but
speculation is like, oh well, the rumor for the next hardware is that it'll support Joy-Con, but it isn't but the old Joy-Con aren't necessarily going to attach to whatever this new system is like they do currently.
Right.
So
because the new system may be the connection with the Joy-Con may be magnet related.
Right. So is Nintendo releasing this so that way they have an official Joy-Con charging solution getting ahead of new hardware coming next year?
Right.
So you have a way to like keep your Joy-Con charged even if you get rid of your Switch.
Which pretty compelling argument.
The logic follows.
The logic does follow. And it is one of the things that like as you like transition away, like I just remember moving from the Wii to the Wii U. Like in the Wii generation, it was one of those things where I was like, oh yes, I'm always just gonna like have a bunch of batteries lying around so I can pop them into Wii remotes and play them at a moment's notice. Always have like the little bar set up so that it can sense the location of these things and the pointer controls work. Kind of moving on over to the Wii U though is like that's like an option if we need another controller, but like I'm not like it, and just like finding the solution once you're out of the habit of like, oh yeah, shoot, I need to charge those things or I need to have batteries for them. It's nice that they're sort of getting out in front of that, but it's just like, I don't know. I think I'm going to need to buy one of these things.
I wonder if the reason that it's releasing now is because the Switch 2, if you believe the reports, was originally going to release at the end of the year, but then got pushed back to next year. And so it's like, well, the train on this charger was already moving.
Right.
And we're just not, there's no reason to sit on these, but it was originally more closely timed to new hardware being released. Also, to be honest, it would not surprise me at all if it's not related to that and Nintendo was just like, we're just gonna make our own. We're just gonna do it for whatever reason.
Yeah. And it could all just be like part of the weird thing that I also haven't seen any like links to order or pre-order these things. Not that I think it's something that you'll need to pre-order, but I just wonder if it's another product that they're like, you get this from the Nintendo website and nowhere else.
Oh, sure,
yeah. Or if it's the opposite and it's like an olive branch to retailers and being like only available at Walmart, Target, and Best Buy.
And maybe they had revenue goals that they needed to hit that they wanted to hit this year, and this is just a way to supplement that. I mean, I do think the argument for preparing for the next hardware is compelling.
I agree.
And that wouldn't surprise me if that was the reason. Although there is something I find a little ominous about, like, I understand why Joy-Con would be supported on the next hardware. Just feels like echoes of Wii U. And why would you want to do that?
I mean, I think because people have bought a lot of Joy-Cons, just like they bought a lot of Wii remotes,
Yeah, but like that turned out not great for them.
Yeah.
To have that be part. But I totally get it. Like people are spending $80 on a set of Joy-Con.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't want to be like, all those Joy-Con you bought are now worthless. But I don't know.
The other solutions from Power A and Hori, less expensive than this. They're usually about $20 for charging twice as many Joy-Cons. Again, not in a like form factor that you could just like hold and start playing with. But that's just another data point here to keep in mind.
You and I had talked, and truthfully, I cannot remember if it was on the show or just a conversation. Because you and I talk about Nintendo even when we're not recording.
Yeah, I don't know why.
So it's possible that we didn't talk about it on the show, but there was a period where there were no amiibo that we were waiting for.
It's actually been kind of a long time, or it's been a couple months of living in a world where there were no unreleased but announced amiibo.
But that's not the case anymore.
We have announced amiibo.
Last week, we saw the announcement of 2 new sets of amiibo for the Splatoon series. You have a Callie and Marie Alterna, which is $30. It's a double pack, comes out on September 5th. And a Pearl and Marina side order double pack, also $30 on September 5th.
Yeah, so these are the 2 sets of idols from the first and second games, respectively, that are like variations on the amiibo that have been out before. So different poses, different outfits, obviously different colors and stuff. But it is those characters again.
And they're releasing these timed alongside the like grand finale of Splatoon 3 support.
Yep.
Right? Splatoon 3 will have been out for 2 years in September, and Nintendo promised 2 years of support of like new content, new Splatfest. And so they're having this grand finale event or the grand festival is what it's called. And it's scheduled to run September 12th from 8 p.m. Pacific time for 72 hours instead of the usual 48. And the theme is past, present, and future. And the different idol groups represent those individual teams.
Which is cool because normally the 3 individual teams are all being represented by the current set of idols. So it may be a little strange that they are not also introducing like a whole set for the current 3 idols. But it's still very cool.
Also, in the previous 2 games, did the final Splatfest like had ramifications in the world going forward,
for the story
right?
Of
the story of
game,
Splatoon. And I don't know that we've gotten any indication that that's going to be the case this time. But it is interesting that the teams are past, present, and future. And I guess you do like two of them are past. You know, like it's not like one group clearly represents each of those 3.
Well, so my speculation here is that Callie and Marie will be representing the past, and sort of because like their poses on the new amiibo are really featuring the sort of like traditional Japanese dress and like accessory. One of them has like a parasol, and that Pearl and Marina are going to be future. Their ink in these things are silver and gold, and they're both wearing like futuristic jumpsuits. And then with the current guys,
right? Shiver. Cry and Big Man?
And Big Man, there you go, you nailed it. That they are going to represent the present because they are the present of Splatoon 3. But that's just me guessing.
That makes sense. So yeah, maybe, it'll be interesting. Does this have ramifications for the story of whatever happens next for Splatoon?
Right.
Or is Splatoon 4 doing something totally different?
Who knows? Mark, you'll be happy to know that I placed my pre-order for these.
Oh, nice!
Already, yes.
I wondered if they would be like a hot item.
Unclear if they're a hot item, but I have obviously made this pledge that I need to buy everything that Nintendo puts out this year, which includes amiibo. So yeah, they are. I'll be walking into Best Buy on September 5th to add 4 more amiibo to my collection.
Also, we have this grand festival in September to kind of kick off the finale of Splatoon 3. But in the meantime, there is another Splatfest coming to Splatoon 3 in early August 10th through 12th. And the question there is, what would you eat every day? And the teams are rice, bread, and pasta.
Yeah, and it's sorry, I don't mean to correct you on your own show, Mark, but it's what could you eat
Oh, what
every day?
could you eat every day?
What could you eat every day?
Yes.
Yeah, rice, bread, pasta.
I feel like I do eat bread every day.
I feel like I eat bread most days as well. But I also could eat rice every day.
I could eat rice every day.
If pasta's the only one where I'm like, look, I like pasta. I like it a lot. If I have pasta for 2 consecutive meals, I'm like, I need to make changes
That's a lot
to
of
my
pasta.
life. Yeah. So I would say pasta is the only one that I'm like, no way on that one.
Do you think, and this is a question for a nutritionist, because I agree with you. I'm like, if I eat pasta, 2 meals in a row, I'm like, this is an absurd amount of pasta.
Right.
But if I ate...
You need to start making some changes.
right, yeah. But if I ate, like, sandwiches for 2 meals in a row, I wouldn't feel so crazy. But I wonder if nutritionally, because it's all just the same.
It's all just carbs, yeah.
Right.
So
I wonder if it does make any difference actually, or if it's just a mental thing that I'm like, that's a lot of pasta.
Yeah.
More bread, please.
Well, and maybe also, like, when you eat pasta, you eat a lot of pasta.
And bread is just like 2 slices, or a sandwich is just 2 slices of bread.
Or like you have a piece of toast. It's one bread.
Yeah.
It's not that much bread.
So I think we'd be team bread.
Yeah, I might be team rice.
One.
I might be team rice.
How about past, present, future? Any any feelings there?
Future, baby.
Yeah, future.
Yeah, gotta go future.
Definitely.
I like the past too. Present's all right.
Present's all right. Take it or leave it. Luckily, it doesn't last that long.
That's right.
Finally,
the
Switch Lite Hyrule Edition, the like beautiful gold Switch Lite special edition that was revealed along with Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, finally went up for pre-order in the US on July 11th.
Yes.
And we had talked previously about, because you of course have this pledge to buy everything that Nintendo releases this year.
Right.
And you decided that includes this special edition Switch Lite.
Yes.
And
I don't know that I had decided that it definitely does include it. I was like, I gotta be clued in to when pre-orders become available in case it is part of the deal.
That's right. And suppose that's totally fair, because I suppose it's possible you could have bought it even though it wasn't part of the pledge.
Yes. I don't know if that's true or not.
Right.
Here's the thing.
No determination has been made.
That's right. We don't know if it is part of the pact or not.
But we do know that you pre-ordered it.
I did pre-order it, yes.
I saw, and I don't know what's come of it, but around the same time, I saw on The Verge that a console modder was posting kind of proof of concept of being able to replace the LCD in a Switch Lite with an OLED. And supposedly it's supposed to be easy to do and cost like $50.
So that is fascinating, and that sounds great. It scares me a little bit.
I would never trust myself to do it, especially on like this like special edition.
Yeah. I mean, it's a special Zelda thing. I think I'm probably getting it, leaving it in a box, and loving it from a distance.
The reason I brought it up as part of the news episode, though, is we had talked previously about like when will the pre-orders go live, and could we math it out based on previous examples of Nintendo doing this?
Right. And my sort of like guideposts here were the Switch OLED, which was so the pre-orders launched on July 15th, 2021, and it was released on October 8th. That was 85 days from pre-order to the thing being released, and it was revealed in the Nintendo Direct the June just prior, right? So I was getting a little nervous as we like crossed the 85-day marker from the release of Echoes of Wisdom and the Hyrule Special Edition Switch Lite, that pre-orders weren't available yet. And when they finally did go live on the 11th, it was 77 days until the release of the system. So not terrible, right? Like a little over 2 months, enough for me to like, calm down and just like it's okay. You don't need to have pre-orders available for a super long time. That's fine. And I kind of went back into the history here, and like just worth noting there were the Animal Crossing New Horizons Switch Lights that were exclusive to Target and Walmart. And they were revealed on September 5th, 2023, and then released on October 6th, 31 days after they were revealed.
Ooh.
So like, and I don't have the information on when pre-orders went live. They may have gone live the second they were revealed, but like, that is such a quick turnaround.
Yeah, thank goodness you weren't promising to buy everything.
That's true.
In 2023, because you would have been sweating this one.
I would have been sweating. Well, I don't even know. We wouldn't have even known about them until they like were revealed, right?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess.
Wait,
you're right,
what do you mean?
I'm saying.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Right.
We didn't know about them until they were revealed.
My point is, I was only sweating about the Hyrule edition in the period between reveal and pre-order.
Yes, and what I'm saying is that first of all, this is incredibly unimportant.
I'm glad we're drilling down into it.
What I'm saying is that Animal Crossing New Horizons Switch Lights were revealed on September 5th and released on October 6th, which is only 31 days.
Yes.
And so if you had not been able to secure a pre-order before the October 6th release, you may have been, you may have been sweating the fact.
I understand what you're saying.
Being like, ooh, what if I'm not able to pick one of these up?
Right. Then maybe there was no pre-order period. But also maybe the pre-order launch. We don't know. We don't have this information.
We don't have this information.
But it's good to debate it.
Yeah, I'm really glad we spent the time to do so.
The headline here is I ordered Nintendo Switch Lite Hyrule Edition, and I'm very excited to see it. I am gonna open it. I mean, come on, right?
I think you should.
Yeah. And should I play all of Zelda on it?
That'd be fun.
I think it'd be fun.
That would be, but I wonder if you'll be able to. Well, because you play a lot on your TV, so maybe going to handheld in the LCD screen won't be too.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Big dramatic.
Yeah.
Because whenever I pull out my old Switch, to do something very rarely, but whenever I pull it out, it does feel like whoa compared to the old
this is old.
Hi.
The Switch Lite though does have a D-pad, so maybe
that's true.
Maybe it'll become my Nintendo World Championships machine.
Yeah, great point.
All right. That's the news. Let's close this out. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like to be in our Discord, you should be in there already. But email us if you're not, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And we will send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers, saying thank you for listening.